And if you haven't done this lately, maybe take some time to reflect on things that you went through when you were younger and what you would tell your younger self. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Edna. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being here. I really truly appreciate you. In today's video, we are gonna cover some of the advice that I would give myself, my younger, like teenage self, but I do think it still applies to any of us now. There will be a little story time mixed in there, so you guys get examples of what was going on in my life. And if you haven't done this lately, maybe take some time to reflect on things that you went through when you were younger and what you would tell your younger self. Or if you had a little cousin or an opportunity to help someone out that is going through what you went through, what would you tell them? Like, what's the advice? What's the chisme? What's the tea? For me, one of the big things I think is I should have spoken with adults. So I would say speak to someone that knows more than you, that's wiser than you, that can guide you, that can help you. Because sometimes we keep things to ourselves and it can lead to very toxic situations. I'll give you 2 examples real quick. One was I was in a relationship with a guy who was like loved by everyone. He was an athlete, and I think that kind of affected it, but everyone loved him. Everyone thought he was the sweetest. People didn't know how toxic our relationship was, and I think I was trying to get out of it for a really long time and I wasn't able to. But one time in particular, this teacher pulled us into her class because I guess there had been chisme that I was gonna leave him, and you know, she wanted to help us talk things through. First of all, that was not her place. That was not it. That's not a teacher's job. And she pulled us into the classroom, and this kid, because we were kids, you know, we were probably 14, 15 years old. This kid started throwing things. Like, I don't remember if he just threw chairs or he was like pushing the tables too, but he was screaming, he was throwing a fit. And I remember being like so scared and being like, fuck, like I just cannot believe this, and he's doing this in front of the teacher. And all she did was try to calm him down, and the focus was all on him. Like, oh my god, how can I help you? Like, are you okay? Blah blah blah. And what about me? Like, what about me? I don't think she reported it. I don't know for sure, but I think that was a time when I should have told someone. And had I told someone, yeah, she might have gotten in trouble, but I think we would have, like, us kids would have been able to get the counseling we needed, the therapy we needed. Clearly it was like super toxic for a reason. Like, we needed to be separated, and thank God I didn't end up with that person. He was a very nice guy for a long time, but then when I started trying to get out of the relationship, he was not nice anymore, and it was super toxic. So that's a little tea right there. If you're going through something, talk to someone, because in that particular situation, that teacher was a hot mess. She didn't help us at all. She didn't help me, but usually you'll, you know, be talking to an adult or someone that's older than you, and they will be able to guide you and help you out and get you resources. Just because you don't want like a grain of salt to become a huge hill and, you know, be a hot mess. Next piece of advice would be to take care of myself just as much as I would take care of others' energy and time, and, you know, protect their feelings. I needed to do that for myself as well, and I didn't always do it. Sometimes people gave me creepy vibes and I didn't like really go with it. This one time in particular, I did talk to an adult and he was very helpful about it, but I remember there was 2 wrestlers. They had already graduated high school. I was on the wrestling team, and they passed by. I was getting ready for multicultural, which was when we would dance. Like, different cultural groups would put together dances for the school. And I was at practice, and these 2 guys came by and were just talking shit about, I think they wanted me to get back with their friend, or like, I don't know what they were saying, but it was like super rude and like harassing me and whatnot. And I wasn't gonna say anything, like always. Like, I just didn't say anything. The soccer players would do this a lot too, just like whistling and just like talking shit and saying that I should get back with this particular person, or like, did I cheat on this person, or what did I do, and blah blah blah. I decided to say something at that moment to one of my wrestling coaches and like bless him, because he did talk to them and told them they couldn't be bothering me anymore. But I did it because someone else was being uncomfortable, and I should have done it to protect myself too, you know. Like, I needed to love myself, which I did love myself, and I, you know, have always loved myself. But I think when it came to protecting myself, my emotions, my energy, my time, I've always protected others' time and their energy a lot more than I've protected mine. So I think it's really important that we always treat ourselves just as good as we treat others, or better. We should always be protective of ourselves. We're the main character in our story, you know? A little side chisme on one of the soccer players. One of them went off to play like professional soccer and got famous and everything. But guess what? He got caught sending pictures to minors and is now not famous or playing anymore. So it is crazy to think that kids will start showing their character at a young age. And who knows, maybe if someone had caught on that he was such basura when he was a kid, maybe his life would have turned out differently. But that's not the point of this video, but some tea for you guys. The next piece of advice I would give myself would be to trust my instinct. Just trust my gut and go with it. So for this example, I was best friends with the girl that I love so much. She was like my sister. I always covered for her. I was always doing things to help her out. Like, I remember one time, me and my friend were trying to get her plan B, and his older sister almost beat the shit out of me because she thought it was for me and she thought I was too young and whatnot. But the point is that I always knew something was off, you know? Like, as much as I loved her, I knew she was a little bit shady. Like, something was off. Mind you, it ended up being that she had a little conversation with me that I should dump the person I was with. Mind you, I didn't want to be in that relationship, so it is what it is. But we did break up, and guess who started dating him after? T. And según she was like my hermana, right? My mom was livid, because even though I wasn't allowed to date, my mom knew that was my novio. And my mom was livid when she would go to our band concerts, and then she would go outside and she would see them together, and she'd be like, I freaking told you there was something off. But you gotta trust your instinct. If you know there's something off about your friends and they're shady, you gotta keep it pushing, dude. Like, as much as someone can be your friend and as much as you can love them, if they're bad people, you have to stand up and say something, because we can't be covering for people doing horrible things. Like, we can't. Then we're just enabling them, and we're just as much of a problem, you know, because we're complicit and we're over here helping them, you know, do things or get away with things. So trust your instinct, because you never know, and sometimes your besties could like come around and stab you in the back, and it's not cute and it's not fun. Alright, and the last piece of advice that I would give my younger self is to focus on myself and not take on responsibilities that weren't meant for me. And my example here is that my parents always had a lot of issues. You know, there was a lot going on. They were the best parents that they could be, but they weren't like a good couple for each other. Like, there was a lot of infidelity, and there was just a lot of fighting, a lot of issues, you know, while we were growing up. And the older you get, the more you realize that this is serious shit. I took on a role that I shouldn't have, and it was kind of like being like the middle person between them, and just always trying to have them like relax, and always trying to be like a second parent to my siblings. And mind you, I love them so much and they're amazing kids, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of things that I remember giving up to be able to help out my parents, because they were over there fighting or arguing. It was a hot ass mess. And especially when you're a kid, your responsibility is to be a kid and nothing else. Like, it is not your problem if people are having family drama. And I know it's so much easier said than done, but I think it's important that we don't take on roles that aren't ours. Like, they're not made for us and they're not ours, because then that cuts into your life. And then, mind you, I know it probably affected how I date and like the people and how I choose who I date, but that's like a whole nother thing that I'm gonna have to deal with in therapy. But I think co-parenting was not my job, and I was definitely like dragged into it. And that's why I did my best to be really involved in school, because I just wanted to be out of the house. Like, I didn't want to be a babysitter all the time. And then I think the issue is then that translates into other things, right? Then you become a yes person, and then you're signing up for things or offering to help for things that you weren't even gonna do, but it affects your personality. Like, once you start being the fixer, you're the person that helps everyone, that fixes everything, then people turn to you. And when you're a teenager, that is not it. Even as an adult, that's not your job, you know? Like, you're not supposed to play therapist for people. Like, they need to go to a freaking grown-ass professional. That's what they need to do. And I know this is a whole lot of heavy stuff, but I think it's important we look back and reflect. And you know, now I'm older and I've had some time to heal and to grow and change how I am a little bit. But I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was an angry little child. And I think it's because I held resentment and I held anger because the adults around me did not always come through. And sometimes those were teachers, sometimes those were my parents, or, you know, family members, whatever, friends. But now that I'm older, I can recognize it, I can see it, heal from it, grow, and I'm gonna make sure I break those cycles for my kids, and that I'm more aware, you know, because I don't want my kids going through that. So if anything, you got some good chisme, but I do think that maybe this video will help you reflect and look back on the advice that you would give your younger self. And sometimes the advice you would give someone younger or yourself in the past are things that can still be applied today. So all that advice that I gave right now for little old baby Edna, I will definitely make sure that I'm applying in my life, because I'm over here trying to live a better life and, you know, be glowing and thriving and making moolah and whatnot, just living my best life. But it's important that we don't keep on making mistakes that we did in, you know, in our youth or as a young adult. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was kind of fun. It was like letting a bunch of stuff off my chest, off my shoulders, and I've actually been thinking about going on Reddit and like picking up stories. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. But yeah, I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys today. So I thought this was fun. And now I'm gonna go help my friend pick out a wedding dress because I'm gonna be a bridesmaid. So I'm not vlogging that because it isn't my event. But maybe when we pick out bridesmaids dresses, maybe I'll ask Abed if we can, you know, vlog a little, but we'll see. I'm just really excited for her. I'm happy, and yeah, time to go look at wedding dresses. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Mwah.